Hello out there, and I wanted to make a quick video today and contribute to the knife tag challenge of what was your first knife? The knife that started it all, the first knife in your collection, the one that began the addiction. And that one for me is right here in front of you. It is the Gerber Paraframe 2. And no one really tagged me on this challenge, but I wanted to make a video anyway about it because if you don't know, one of my most popular or most viewed videos, people either love it or they hate it, is about why I'm done with Gerber. And it's a video where I talk about some of the issues that I had with some of their products, and then the really lousy follow-up when it came to customer service that I experienced, and just basically me being done purchasing from that company for the future. And that's not going to change. That's still the way that it is. But in spite of all that, you know, I do have some very good memories attached to some of their knives and some of their products that I had before this incident occurred. And I don't know if everybody else or anybody else is like this, but I do assign value to objects, to possessions, and to things based on, you know, how I received them or how I used them. And this Gerber Paraframe 2, being my first knife, it definitely has a lot of value for that reason. And for some other reasons. You know, it came along for the ride on a lot of pretty important times in my life. So let me just talk a little bit about how I got this knife, and I think that'll really be it. So I was in my early 20s, and I'm 33 right now at the posting of the video. So I was in my early to mid 20s, and at some point, for some reason, I decided that I needed to start carrying a knife every single day. You know, I wasn't brought up carrying knives, and I wasn't brought up in any kind of hunting or backpacking or hiking family. So it just wasn't something that ever really occurred to me to do throughout my teens. You know, I had Swiss Army knives here and there, or, you know, some kind of multi-tool that, you know, a kid at school would have, and then you'd get your hands on one and it'd be cool, but never something that I thought about for EDC actual use. And then for whatever reason, in my 20s, I decided I needed a knife. I wanted to be one of those guys. I wanted to carry a knife. I wanted to have a tool on me that would be useful. And and I went to the store. I went to Walmart. It's funny to say I wanted a tool that would be useful, so I went for Gerber. But I went to Walmart and I looked in a glass display case and I picked out the knife that I thought looked the coolest and felt the best in hand and was the right price. And this knife was less than 20 bucks and it looked pretty neat. And so I picked it up. And it started the whole thing, you know, and Gerber for a long time, you know, if you didn't know this about me, I'll tell you now. For a long time, Gerber was the company that was shaping my knife preference because I didn't know anything about smaller Chinese companies like Sanrenmu and Ganzo. I don't even think they were really around at that point. So, you know, the budget knives that I was able to get access to were from Gerber. So at one point, you know, about a year or two after I had this knife, I probably had 30 Gerber knives. You know, the first 25, 30 knives in my collection were all Gerbers. And I would just pick them up just to get an idea of what the blade shape was and the design, handle materials, you know, locking mechanism, whether it's a frame or a liner or a back lock. And I just really had the great opportunity to learn what types of knives I'd be into without really breaking the bank. And so, you know, I know a lot of people have been through the same thing, and it's a really positive experience to give you, you know, to shape your opinions and what kind of preference you're going to have moving forward. One thing to interrupt real quick myself. Yes, I'm going to interrupt myself in my own video, but I have heard some people say that this knife in particular isn't the best performing knife and it doesn't lock up well and isn't very functional. And I will say that I never once had a single issue with this knife while I used it. It locked up perfectly, still does. I mean, it's been close to 10 years. No side to side, no up and down. It flips open relatively well. You know, and it does take a razor sharp edge. Doesn't keep it. Can't really do much cutting with it, but yeah, I never had a functional issue with this particular model. So it's been good to me. It's been a good knife, and I was really, really happy that I chose this to be my first one. And then eventually what happened was I ended up picking up a Kershaw. My first ever Kershaw, I think, was the Kershaw Crown. And then once I was at a gun show, and I bought my first Kershaw Leek. And yeah, this was my first ever, actually I think this might have been my first ever USA made knife. And there you have it. That just sort of changed everything. And I started to move away from Gerber, and then if you if you have seen that Why I'm Done with Gerber video, you can sort of put the pieces together as to how that relationship continued and then eventually ended. But at the end of the day, you know, the Gerber relationship is done. I'm not buying any more of their products, but I still do have a few of their knives that I really like. And this one, even though I don't really carry it at all, it has that special place. It's the first knife. This is the knife that I actually had on me the day that I knew that I was going to marry my wife. You know, I mean, these little things, these little bits of value that you assign to just inanimate objects that make them special for whatever reason. So even though this knife for me doesn't have much value anymore as a functional tool, certainly it's still an important piece in my collection, and it's one that will never really go away. So I want to share with that, wanted to share that with all you guys today. I've been checking out some of the other videos from the tag. They're really cool. It's great to learn more about the people that I follow. Anyone down below who wants to chime in, let me know what your first knife was, what your first experience was. I don't care if it's a 7-paragraph comment. Let me know about it, and I'll read it all, and we'll have a good little talk, because this kind of stuff is very cool. And yeah, thanks to whoever started the tag, and hopefully I'll hear from a lot of you soon. All right, guys, have a good one, and take care. I'll talk with you soon.